Hey guys, Tom Larimer here. I'm here with my good friend Tim Rajeff, and today we're talking about a brand new spey line that we just came out with last fall that's called the Rage Compact. And it is changing the game in floating line fishing for steelhead or any other fish that you might fish for with a two-handed rod. Tim's going to tell you a little bit more about it.
So, what is this new Rage Compact from Airflo? Well, it's a fly line that was born out of the necessity to cast in windy conditions. And on the Deschutes River, where this line was hatched, there's often a wicked upstream wind. And the lines that people were using, the thinner Scandinavian or Scandi heads, were really getting beat up. The front of those lines, they cast smooth and they're wonderful. Boy, but when they try and cut through the wind, they were just too thin at the front of the line. So guys were throwing Skagit heads out there, trying to make them as a nice floating line fishing near the surface. Well, actually Skagit head was too aggressive and too thick. So the Rage is kind of a bridge between a Scandi and a Skagit. So with that length of being slightly shorter than a Scandi, and with a tip diameter that's kind of, again, between those two, you end up with a line that's easy to cast, thick enough to cut through the wind, but designed primarily to fish near the surface. So when you go to cast a Rage head, you'll notice that it's a little shorter and more condensed than the Scandi Compact or some of the other longer floating lines that you would use. So what happens when you grab a line that's a little shorter and a little more aggressive? Just chill, slow down a little bit. If you make a normal aggressive cast, sometimes you'll pull your anchor. These Rage heads are set up that they're still have the bulk of the mass near the rod tip, so just a little slower, a little smoother, a little flatter cast. And because they're thicker, they cut through the wind. So I end up casting easier than I normally would. And this line, not only does it help anybody cast farther, it helps you if your loop is a little bit bigger. The tip diameter on these is just thick enough that you can throw like a sinking, heavy sinking poly leader. So this is the line I go to when I'm fishing near the surface or if I want to get just below the surface with a poly leader. So one of the things that also is important to recognize is that with this slightly thicker tip, I don't have to fish quite as far across the river as I normally would, so that I can set up my cast slightly more downstream. I fish a little sooner, and that tip is a little thicker, it tracks better. It doesn't quite get beaten up like some of the thinner Scandi Compact lines. Plus the word thinner is a new word that you've learned today. It's a combination of thicker and thinner, so the thinner tip on a Rage will make you track and fish better.
The Rage Compact is available in 360 grains all the way up to 600 grains, so you can match any of your rods in your arsenal. One of the things that's new for Airflo this year is all of our shooting heads are being packaged without a spool and in one of these Ziploc bags. We did that for a couple reasons. Number one, not having a spool alleviates us from throwing it away, which is better for the environment. But more importantly, this bag integrates into our shooting head wallet, which allows you to keep all of your shooting heads and any other tackle organized. A couple of features on the Rage Compact to be aware of. We've used heavy-duty loops on both ends of the line to give you great durability. The loop that goes towards your shooting head or in the back of the head is black to give you a visual break between your shooting line and the actual head. On the front of the line, you'll find the color-coded system that we've used for years, plus we've now integrated a printed system that tells you what the line is plus the grain weight, so it allows you to stay nice and organized and make sure you're always fishing the right head. Like all of our shooting heads, we build it out of polyurethane. Polyurethane is a much better material to build fly lines out of because it doesn't dry out, it doesn't crack, it's extremely durable, and it's a better process for the environment when building it. We also build these heads on a low stretch core, about 6%. So that gives you ultimate sensitivity when you're swinging your fly and a fish just comes up and just barely grabs your fly, you can feel them. Plus it works better from a casting dynamics that you have better loop stability in the air. So once you've got your head, you're going to need to put a poly leader on this. And we recommend a 10-foot poly leader for most people. Some more aggressive casters might like a 14-foot poly leader. You can use a floating poly leader, and they come all the way down to a type 6. And this line will easily throw all of those. So any work that you're doing on the surface or maybe slightly below the surface with a small to medium sized fly, the Rage Compact will handle it. So if you like to fish dry lines for steelhead and you fish on rivers with a lot of wind or tight back casting conditions, the Rage Compact is a great line for you. Give it a try.